Welcome to Trailer Teardowns, where we take a trailer and discuss the nuances within it that make us want to see it or take a hard pass. I'm one of your hosts, Evan Bass Zeisel, with co-host Angel Acevedo, and today we're doing something a little different. Instead of doing a full teardown of a single trailer, we're going to do quick takes for a batch of movies coming out this Friday. Angel, what's our list for this week?
So what do we got? We got 5 movies this week. A movie called Locked, Walt Disney's Snow White live action adaptation, The Alto Knights, The Assessment, and Popeye the Slayer Man. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, let's do this. Let's go in. We're gonna go quick, quick but not quick. Let's see how it goes. So we'll start with Locked. This is a new Paramount movie, directed by David Yarovesky, starring Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. So, what do you
my hot take, my quick take?
Quick takes. What do you got?
My quick take is first, I thought when I was watching it, just initially, I was like, oh, it's the lead actor from the weird movie from 2018, Mute, with Paul Rudd and everybody else. Turns out that was actually Alexander Skarsgård, who is brother to Bill Skarsgård, who's starring in this, and that's why it looks so familiar. To me, I'm like, okay, if you want a bottle episode kind of movie, I think they had one about like you're in a phone booth and now you can't leave this phone booth or people are gonna die. Like, kudos for these people to figure out how you can essentially film a movie almost entirely in a parking lot and a car. I think it's a interesting way of showing it. Like, we all have that not at all fear of being locked in a car and terrorized, but I think there's this like being terrorized, and I think they did a good like generational thing of multi-camera. You're seeing it from the perspective of video feeds in the car, and somebody's tricked it up for tons of money because he's somewhat sadistic kind of thing. Though I didn't actually feel from the trailer that it was like that intriguing. Like, why do I care to see this? That's my quick take. Angel, what you got?
Same thing. My initial thought was like, oh, this is phone booth in a car, or rather a souped up SUV. I like Bill Skarsgård, though. I feel like he's in a lot of stuff lately. And it is kind of funny. Like, it seems like these Skarsgårds are just kind of like coming in, and then they do a lot of stuff, and then, oh, here's another Skarsgård. But I think it's a fine put together trailer. It's got a creepy soundtrack, yodeling that playing throughout, that kind of like stuck out to me.
Oh man, those creepy soundtracks with yodeling.
And I was just curious. I kind of not went into sort of like a mild rabbit hole, but I looked, I was like, oh, this is a big SUV. I was like, is this a real brand, real car? I don't know if you looked into it. Dolus is the name of the SUV.
Is it?
It's not, but I think it's not a.
I was gonna say, really good product placement.
Yeah, it's not. And so I looked it up, and Dolus, it's a trick or a false statement that has the intention of deceiving someone. That's the definition of Dolus. But also, there's some Greek mythology behind it as well. I'm surprised you didn't catch that and reference it. But it says Dolus was personified by the spirit of trickery, cunning deception, craftiness, treachery, and guile. So like, there's obviously they're trying to. That's, I'm sure that's all tied into the story and what's gonna kind of play into in the movie. Anthony Hopkins obviously is like doing the sort of this trickery stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's I like you described it. It's like a bottle episode, kind of very just like high concept, easy. Not much there. Maybe there's more to it. I assume eventually he's gonna get out of the car, and then the third act, whatever twist reveal of what's gonna go on. But it's fine. All
right, let's jump into ratings. I will say one thing that has slightly boosted it in my mind is a completely probably non-purposeful reference to one of the original Michael Keaton Batmans, when the Penguin gets control of the car and Batman is in the car, but it's not, that was sort of getting controlled, and he's having to witness sort of the mayhem happening. Yeah, my rating is, as you probably can guess, I will not be watching this in opening night. I will probably, if nothing else is on, I would put it on just because, like, I'm like, all right, let's see this. But I feel like it didn't get, unfortunately, my heart rate up enough that I feel like, oh, I'd get amped up watching this to be, be able to bike to it or something. Um, so yeah, if nothing else on is mine. What about you?
I'd stream it. I'm curious just to see how it ends. I guess that's with sometimes a lot of movies like this where it's like, all right, interesting concept. I want to see where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'm a proponent of seeing movies in theaters, but I think this I would stream it. It also feels like it's a concept for like a short film, and just like how
Yeah. Oh
long
yeah.
can they stretch this out? I imagine this will probably be like a quick 90-minute movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anything longer than an hour 40 could kind of just drag. But yeah, that's my take.
Next up is Snow White, the live action remake, directed by Mark Webb, starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. This is a CGI and live action version of the classic Disney movie. Angel, what are your thoughts?
So I'll preface this. I'm probably in the minority of people audiences that I don't mind that they're doing all these live action adaptation of like classic animated movies. Um, a lot of these original animated movies were based on stories, so they themselves were adaptations. So this is just I don't mind it. That's not to say I'm like out going out to seeing all of them. I've seen a few of them. I mean, if you look at I guess a similar thing is like comic books. I feel like there's so many adaptations. I don't know. I feel like it's sort of on par in a way. But yeah, I'm not a hater of the live action adaptations. Um, what can I say about this? Is that it looks like you know, live action Snow White movie. CGI dwarves, I they look fine. Gal Gadot I think looks good as the what, witch queen. Um,
Yeah, Queen.
Obviously all the production design. There's a lot of Disney spends a lot of money on their movies, so it looks good in terms of the production design, cinematography. Rachel Zegler seems like a fine, decent Snow White. Nothing, I have nothing like no stakes in this, so it's just sort of like for me, it's like it's not my total cup of tea, right? Aladdin, if I'm looking at like Disney movies turned into live action movies, Aladdin, though I didn't actually see that, it didn't look good to me. But this, it is what it is, and it almost feels like though like they're kind of just like dumping this. It's just been a weird one because obviously Disney's makes these big tentpole movies and it's not a lot of fanfare to it. So I don't know if it's because it's not good or of all this like hubbub of the controversies, which I don't really know the full details. But what do you got? What do you
Yeah.
think?
I so I'm not against live action remakes of classic cartoon movies. I am in the I guess the group that like sort of has just a single question of like, do we really need this? Like why do we need this type of remake? I loved Lion King, the animated movie. I did not see the live action. I didn't feel the need to. Like, why do I want to see a different version that has CGI, which is kind of animated for a lot of the characters? Um, version of it. Like a lot of the dwarves, not a lot of them, all the dwarfs are CGI, which is a variation on a type of computer animation at some level. I mean, all of the magic is a computer animation. Like, yes, we've got live people playing the roles, and so it's motion capture instead of hand drawn animation or computer created animation. So yeah, so I guess I'm just sort of in that group. I think everything, as you said, sort of looks good. It flows well. It flows. I think they laid out the trailer well in like her finding the dwarves and the humor of the dwarves kind of being afraid, and a little bit that joke line of like, oh, ghost, like kind of thing, which is cool. I do think this movie is interesting just because of the controversies. There's the controversies, yeah, of the dwarves, that of all the dwarves, only one of them is played by a person who is of the smaller sort of stature, and all the rest are not. And then it's all sort of motion capture and CGI. There also was the controversy, I think semi created by the AMPTP. So during the writer's strike, Rachel Zegler joined the line and was quoted as saying, if I'm spending 18 hours per day on set, like I should be compensated fairly for all of the money it makes on streaming. And the PR engine of the AMPTP worked really hard of saying like, oh, here's privileged, top tier actor saying that they deserve more money when other people are not. And she, clarified it saying like, no, what I was saying is, when you make a film, you're putting in tons of hours, you're putting in hugely long days, day after day, and people should be fairly compensated. But, the far right kind of leaned into the AMPTP's PR engine and started being, oh, it's woke and blah, blah, blah. Like, and so that sort of became part of the controversy, but it's, uh, I'll use this pun purposely. Like, there's snowflakes who are trying to create controversy over things that aren't. And so I think that's what's created sort of this weird buzz or non-buzz related to it. I'm curious how it'll come out, just because compared to The Lion King, I think it does look a little bit more interesting in that they've like pushed the boundaries on what the visuals can look like compared to just trying to do the animated version as live action / CGI.
Yeah, I agree with like on that point of like the Lion King is like, oh, it's like, was that needed? It's like it was more of like a showcase of like the technology, like wow, look what we can do, and it looked good. The Lion King, the CGI was just amazing. I think that even won like Oscar for best visual effects. But yeah, it was almost like not needed. And I hear and I can't remember if I saw it. I saw Jungle Book, and like a couple years later, then the Lion King came out, so I can't remember, but I heard it was just like 90% shot by shot what they did in the animated film. So it's like, what did the filmmakers really bring to it other than like really cool visual effects? And I think that's what's kind of cool about like where they do these live actions. They could take, the director comes in and like can just bring that 2D story into a 3D world, and not like 3D glasses world, but just a fully world where they can just put their stamp on like, oh, this is how I think it would look, and then bring in the production design and cinematography. I think that's kind of cool. Just like bringing in their, just not updating it, but just like bringing it into like that cinematic world, in a sort of fully fleshed out world. I think it's kind of cool, and allows like those creatives and artists to do cool things. But yeah.
So what's your rating? What's your rating, Angel?
So I guess I kind of have two ratings here because I have a little daughter. She would probably want to see it. So I will, and I want to encourage the theater experience with my kids. So I will take her to the theaters to go see it. So from that point of view, I'm a theaters. If she has no interest in seeing it, then I probably would skip it, but very, very likely she wants to see it. She loves her princesses and all that. So, theaters for us.
Awesome. I'll stream it. I don't think I'd go to the theaters to see this, but I am interested enough. It looks creative enough. I'd stream it for sure.
Cool. All right. So next movie, The Alto Nights, directed by Barry Levinson, starring Robert De Niro, Cosmo Jarvis, and Deborah Messing. All right, Evan, what's your quick take?
First and foremost, good on Robert De Niro. Yeah, I mean, the first thing that jumps out is you got Robert De Niro playing two different characters that are advising each other. It's I enjoy those movies if it's for a good point. I feel like this one is probably being done this way because Robert De Niro wanted to play both parts. I didn't get from the sense of of the trailer that it was necessary for him to play both parts. Like, this isn't Coming to America. This isn't. Um, I won't name the movies that have sort of reveals, but there's like identical twins where they're playing, um, or variations on identical twins in different things, or clones. So I think it's sort of a bit of a come see this movie because Robert De Niro is playing two different characters, and that might be some people's thing. I think they did a really good job with matching the classic gangster style trailer. I mean, it's very much in that genre, and it leans into it even from the very beginning of like from the hit makers, which whatever that means, behind, and names, different classic mob gangster movies based on the true story. That always is very much with a grain of salt because they take so many um, uh, uh, creative license creative licenses in movies based on true stories that they're not very close to the true story. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like an interesting gangster thing, the way they lay it out, that it's very much in the classic mob style. It felt somewhat like, you know, the cowboy movies that they sort of rehash more, keep going over and over again. Like it seems like it's been done, but it's just like a slightly new twist. And this one is De Niro and De Niro. Yeah. What do you think?
I first start off. I like mob movies, the mafia movies. Those are fun. Though I feel like a lot of it's just sort of been done.
Mm-hmm.
I know you could say that for a lot of movies, but I feel like your mafia movies, the sort of the what else is there to tell, and what sort of point of view can you tell with something new? Granted, this is based on a true story, so they haven't put this story on screen, so who knows. So De Niro is playing two different characters that aren't twins. Why? I think we had the same question. Like, why is he doing that? Like whose idea was that? I'm just wondering, is that the director? Was it De Niro? Could they not find another actor to play the opposite role? Yeah, that was just like, when I first saw it, I was like, wait, so they're related? I'm like, oh no, they're not. So I was just like, well, then it's like, what? Why? It works when Eddie Murphy's doing it, and
Mm-hmm. Coming to America.
Coming to America. He does it in other movies as well.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Dolittle, I believe.
Not Doctor Dolittle. You mean the one with the
no,
clumps? The
didn't he
Flubber,
do
or not
Dolittle?
Flubber?
No, yeah,
not
no,
Flubber.
wait,
You know what I mean?
Oh no, it is Doctor Dolittle. The clumps. He is like,
Is it
right?
clumps? Which is the no? Which is the one where he creates the formula that makes him skinny, and he's playing the skinny version, and like id and ego essentially.
Oh
No,
yes,
it's
hold
not.
on.
Doctor Dolittle is where he
It's
talks to
not.
animals.
Yeah. But I thought he's a professor. I guess that's the other thing.
Oh yes.
That's what the story.
The Nutty Professor.
Okay,
The
what
Nutty
is that movie?
Professor.
That's what it is.
Yes.
That's all. That was okay. Yep. Okay. Wow. Okay. Tangent there. So yeah, like that works there. It's funny. That's his shtick. He's done that. But yeah, I was just like, well, why is he doing that? What's the purpose of it? So, other than like, it took twice as long to shoot. The director's like, that's fine. Let's do it this way. Yeah.
More than twice as long.
More than twice as long. At least.
Yeah. I just did a filmed a short film where I'm playing multiple characters, and the thing that takes the longest is making sure the eye line is correct, because you don't see where the other version of yourself is. So you have to, it's like a lot in pre-production setup on the day.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. It's just like, yeah, the twice as long is just sort of like the quick. Yeah, it's just gonna take longer to film. So like, why? The trailer itself is nicely put together. Cinematography looks good. The period piece looks good, and all that. The editing, the sound effects editing, it's nice. The use of the Moby song, you wouldn't think like, oh, that's kind of odd, but it kind of works. It's obviously some sort of like remixed version of that Moby song. There are some odd choice cuts in terms of like what they're showing, like these like inserts that are weird a couple times throughout the movie, the trailer. But the one that really stuck out to me, that was just like, I don't know if it stuck out to you. It's toward the end, during the like build up of the fast paced montage at the end. There's just this close up of spaghetti.
Like, oh yeah.
What? Like, wait, what?
They're
I was
Italian.
like,
They're
yes, we know.
Italian mob.
I,
Italian mob.
I,
Angel.
yeah, I don't know. I was like, wait, what? Is that like, is that something to, is this something in, that this character, this person in real life was known for? I don't know. It's just like, it was just so random. And it was just like, what is that? Does that drive up the tension?
What if this is a really weird crossover with the Flash movie, the most recent one, where Michael Keaton's character explains the multiverse getting messed up as spaghetti that's mixed together? Just kidding. Just kidding.
It was just odd. It was just a weird insert to me. I was like, why are we seeing a shot of a spaghetti? Like in this moment, not, instead of like maybe a close up of a hand on a gun or a knife or something, it's spaghetti. But yeah, and you mentioned this too. I thought this graphic, this title card was kind of odd. The Hitmakers graphic is kind of silly. Usually I've never seen them use that phrase before, Hitmakers.
I was thinking maybe it's some kind of play on like Hitman, but yeah, it is a weird phrasing. Like usually it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's from the director of, or from the producers of, or even sometimes if it's like the writer.
From the warped mind of Guillermo del Toro. Or no.
But like I feel like most people, if you see that, like most people were probably gonna think Scorsese is involved somehow, because it was the Goodfellas, Bugsy, and the Irishman.
I figured they were trying to avoid the fact that they didn't have somebody like Scorsese involved, that it was like some random association, or there's different random associations.
Yeah, I think all those movies were big movies. Goodfellas was a big hit, nominated for a lot of Oscars. Bugsy as well. The Irishman, I don't know if technically that was a big hit. It was a Netflix movie. That was Scorsese, De Niro. But, so Scorsese is obviously he's not involved in this movie. But it's, the producer, Irwin Winkler, Barry Levinson, who directed Bugsy, and then obviously De Niro's in 2 of those movies, and then the writer, Nicholas Pileggi, is involved. He wrote Goodfellas, I believe.
All right, I'll go for my rating. I agree with you. I think the mob movie stuff has sort of been done again and again. This is just like kind of a variation on it with a different true story. I think the De Niro is not a pull enough for me to go see it in the theaters. I actually think it might have been more interesting, if you have a more classic, 2 people on the other side of the coin. I mean, De Niro's been in half of those movies that have sort of had him as one half of a side, and then another great actor another half. So I'd say I'd stream it. I think it doesn't interest me enough to get out there, but I'd check it out just because I'm curious. I might not watch the whole thing. What about you?
Right. I'd skip it. It's just I'm not gravitated to this whatsoever.
Ooh, you're a hard pass?
Yeah.
Ooh, this is your first hard pass. I think.
Is it? Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh. Wow. All right.
This might be the first one you're not seeing in theaters. I'm just kidding.
Ring the bell.
All right, that was my attempt to ring the bell with my glass of water. All right, next up is The Assessment. So this movie is directed by Fleur Fortune and stars Elizabeth Olsen, Himish Patel, and Alicia Vikander. What's your take, Angel?
I like these like low sci-fi movies, small in scale, kind of character pieces, something weird's going on. Trailers put together really nicely. It starts off kind of like this sort of like couples kind of like relationship movie, and then we're introduced into Alicia Vikander's character, and we're learning that they want to be parents, but in this world you have to be assessed to determine whether or not you can have a child or a baby. And then it just kind of goes sideways and really weird. And what gets me a lot of movies like or trailers are like the sound design. I think that's a real big selling point for me, and just like how it's done, and like it creates a vibe for me. And I get attached to that really easily if it's done well. A lot of the moments, and maybe I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this too, like some of the moments in the trailer gave me some parenting PTSD. Like when the Alicia, the assessor is like saying like, I'm bored, you yelled at me, and slaps the Elizabeth Olsen's hands when she's trying to feed her and doing that
Mhm.
kind of gave me a lot of PTSD. I was like, oh, I know those moments. But yeah, it looks weird. It's cool. It's something different, a different kind of world. Low budget, but it looks good as well. Simple production design, not doesn't need anything extravagant, but that kind of sci-fi is really, really cool, and I dig it.
Cool.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you sort of hit the nail in the coffin, the nail in the head. That we're not in NBA Jam. You hit the nail on the head with the like indie feel. I feel like there's a certain way that these indie, lo-fi, sci-fi movies make feel as films, but also set out their trailers. That's really interesting that the pattern kind of flows out. Like I got very much Ex Machina vibes from this. It's intimate, but it's warped a little bit. It's an indie film. There's going to be emotionally dramatic moments for the actors to take advantage of and show off their talents. I also thought it was interesting that Alicia Vikander is in both, this film and Ex Machina. Yeah, you get just that like the intimate feel. I mean, you've got a bunch of films that sort of play in this. Oftentimes, it's three main individuals. I guess that's like a good number to play off of when it comes to sort of this weird psychological dramas. Um, the thing that I'm curious about is the thing that I am most curious about in this like future dystopia or this future world is like, why do you need an assessor to be able to have a child? Because I feel like this movie might, at least the way it is sort of playing, the trailer plays out, it's all focused on the assessment and how first it's some part of an assessment, but then clearly it switches to role play where the person's playing the child and it's clearly going to build up to some emotional moment that then, they're about to break like kind of Lord of the Flies style. And then boom, oh, it's over. Thank you for doing this, Um, and I, they sort of showed that like, and now we're done with the simulation in the trailer, which I feel like we don't need that. I didn't want to see all of this. But I think it's intriguing also in the sense that a lot of the trailer, it's like weird, like holodeck almost feel where there's like this empty space with some things in it. And it was a mix. And I'm kind of curious, like, what is going on there? So I'm intrigued. But like, yeah, I guess the why I'm really hoping is in there because then it might not have as much impact if the stakes aren't really there other than, oh, we want a kid and this is just the way it works.
Well, I would think like since it's obviously in a sci-fi, either future, whatever, just this sci-fi type setting world. There's obviously a reason. It's like they just don't deliver that exposition in the trailer. It sort of reminds me of this one
Yeah.
movie, It was like a sci-fi romantic drama that's on Apple TV Plus, called Fingernails. It's sort of has similar qualities in terms of like you kind of get like interviewed to determine whether or not um couples are in love and things like that, and it has like this sci-fi tinge to it, similar to this. But yeah, I feel like there's
Hmm.
always a reason, so it's I'm intrigued, like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. Yeah. Well, what's your rating?
um I'd see it in theaters, something different, original looking. So, it's not a big movie, but to me, I don't need to see all these, you know, the movie in the theaters doesn't need to be big. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I definitely would like to see it. And the cast is good. So yeah, I'd see it in theaters.
I feel like I'm a broken record. Maybe it just pushes me a bit to see things in theaters. I'd stream this. I mean, this wouldn't be on my, if nothing else on. I'd stream this. I think it's interesting, as you said. Like it's got at least a creative idea behind it that's not been done again and again. Um, so yeah, let's stream it.
Yeah, I mean, assuming I could see it in theaters. But yeah, I'd watch it either way. Theaters or streaming. But yeah, I would go aim for theaters for sure.
Ooh, and we've saved our best quick take for last. You want to take it away,
Save the
Angel?
best for last. Yes. So we have Popeye the Slayer Man. This is directed by Robert Michael Ryan, starring Jason Robert Stevens and Sarah Nicklin and Angela Relucio. Never heard of any of these people. So, yeah. So instant take or quick take. What do you got?
Quick take. I mean, oi, this trailer is. I was laughing through most of it. I mean, it's clearly in the vein of, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It's now essentially they figured out, hey, at the beginning of each year, something goes into public domain that's people know, and the horror film producers figure out how to, as fast as possible, turn that around into a horror movie. I mean, the production value just is like, it made me cringe. The lines made me cringe. The acting kind of made me cringe at times, but it's also, it's directing, it's the script. I mean, it's designed for even the like the horror porn moments, like, oh, Popeye comes and he breaks somebody's hand and something like a bone maybe comes out. It like didn't look real at all. That it's just like, I think this is a movie you go to kind of laugh along with. I mean, the guy, even the Popeye like prosthetics are insane looking in not a good way. I did highly enjoy the one Popeye line that they use. However, it's delivered, maybe possibly because the prosthetic or something, in an almost barely audible way. But he did at one point in the trailer say, "I am what I am," as he steps on and completely squashes somebody's head. um, so yeah, I mean, like this will go, in the annals of movie trailer history, as in line with Winnie the Pooh, the Blood and Honey, as like it'll be on somebody's top 10 trailers you've got to see because, oh my God, they made this movie. How about you?
Yes. Wow. I have not. I've heard of these productions of these films being made over the last couple years, where these IP, these characters have gone into the public domain. The Winnie the Pooh, um, being, I feel like, the sort of big one.
Mm-hmm.
But
Technically, Tugboat Willie, the Mickey Mouse, went into public domain. However, it's only that one single Mickey Mouse, and so therefore the IP on that is not fully clear. So we don't have, the rabid mouse that is named Mickey that looks like Mickey Mouse movie yet.
So yeah, this is the first one. This is my first experience of that, and yeah, wow. The first few shots of the movie, like, oh, well, it looks like decent production value. But then, like, once the actors start opening their mouths, then you're like, oh, okay, that's not where the money was spent. If there was really a lot of money.
Usually these
Yeah,
aren't made with tons of money.
no, yeah, for sure. I mean, you can make these horror movies for super, super cheap. But yeah, like, it's just like, obviously, yeah, up and coming actors, or, just like, I mean, I love how they tried to shoot, the writers being very clever in terms of, like, how do we, what's going to make Popeye, what's the backstory here, and what's going to make him go deranged, or whatever it is. And it's like this contaminated spinach factory, canning factory. It's like, I was like, there it is. Because I was wondering, I was like, for 30 seconds, and I was like, why is he going like this? Okay, it's contaminated.
It's
Yes.
salmonella. That's what gives him his powers.
Yeah, a lot of the gore in there is definitely just low budget, but and sort of just gratuitous. But I feel like they kind of gave a lot away, and I'm wondering if there's more of that in the movie.
Oh yeah, they gave away like
Um,
most of the thing. Though they did set up that there's like a fresh group of kids show up because somebody isn't returning like the dude's texts. And so now he's going to go down to the abandoned factory where she's doing her science project study or something, and he's going to have a word with her with his bros.
this almost plays like an SNL skit, And I
Yeah,
wonder if like
100%.
SNL, I wonder if SNL did skits like this years ago. Just like, I mean, honestly, that it almost just with like the bad acting. Not that the SNL, actors are bad actors. It's just the way they perform that in like if they were to do like a spoof trailer, like it would just like stick out like that. But yeah, it's totally played like an SNL skit trailer, and this for being 2025, honestly, I would say like, oh, this movie came out 15 years ago. Like it just looks like that as well. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that was sort of an experience. I do like the play on the title, Slay, Slayer Man, Slay. That's clever. um, but yeah, that's all I got. Are you so what's your rating on this one?
Hard, hard, hard pass. That said, I am a very big advocate that everybody should watch this trailer just for the amusement.
Agreed. Now, this is another one where I do have sort of two ratings. Present
Okay.
Day Angel. Present Day Angel is skipping.
Hard pass.
I have other things to watch. But if I were in college or in my early 20s and hanging out with a bunch of friends and getting drunk and drinking, this I think is a worthy pop in. I think that would be kind of fun.
I could see that. I could 100% see that. I could also see this as a movie that people put on in the background at like a Halloween party or a party where it like nobody's paying attention, but every so often you glance over and you're like, oh man.
Cool. Yeah. So that's it, right? We did 5. I mean, it wasn't super
Yeah.
quick, but well, I think it was quick enough. We got 5 movies coming out this week. Let us know which ones you are seeing or not seeing.
Yeah. Throw them in the comments. Love to hear everybody's thoughts on any of these movies, trailers.
Cool. All right.
Thanks for listening.
All right. Later.